Hi there, Mrs. Fernandi here reading Chasing Vermeer by Blue Balliett. Please open your books to page 167, chapter 17. It's called What Happens Now? And that's exactly what we're all wondering because it seems like everybody is getting into further and further danger and trouble. Calder was home with a cold the following day and Petra walked home from school by herself. It was early December and patches of ice alternated with drifts of brown leaves. Petra scuffed along, thinking about Charles Fort. He wouldn't be feeling discouraged. He'd have his eyes wide open. With that in mind, she picked up a scrap of graph paper off the ground and read, corn oil, butter, tea bags, onions, green grapes, bacon. She popped it into her pocket. Was there poetry here in these accidental combinations of words? Would Fort have seen an interesting pattern or a secret of the universe in grocery lists? Hey, this might be something they could get into with Miss Hussey one day. Accidental combinations of sounds and ideas. Why did some words seem more elegant, more graceful than others? Why were some words peanut butter and jelly sounds and other caviar? What made the words onion or tea bag so plain? Why did a word like ice or exquisite sound so lacy? Inspired by the idea, Petra spotted another piece of paper. It was tucked into a thorny hedge near Miss Sharp's house and torn along the bottom. Folded in four, it looked worn. She opened it carefully and began to read. Dear friend, I would like your help in identifying a crime that is now centuries old. Petra ran straight over to Calder's house. Did anyone see you pick it up? I looked around, only one person crossing the street. Calder blew his nose vigorously. Do you think it's the same letter you started to read, the one that blew away? How could it be? Maybe there's a fourth letter, Petra groaned. Calder reached for his pentominoes. It's creepy to think of someone sticking that letter carefully in Mrs. Sharp's bushes. Do we tell the police? It'll make it harder for us to keep looking. Good thinking, but neither one of us should walk around here on our own. We could end up like that frog kid. They refolded the letter, placed it neatly inside a sandwich bag, and tucked it into the geographer's box. They each ate a blue one. Then they each ate two more. Calder was holding the P pentomino. P for pray, he said, trying to grin. Petra looked horrified. Pray? See how she's saying P-R-E-Y and he said P-R-A-Y? Us? You mean we're being hunted? No, I meant pray, as in hoping to stay safe, Calder said. Maybe it's pray we're not prey, Petra added, scaring them both. The next day, more news broke. A book appeared in the stores that morning called The Vermeer Dilemma, What Happens Now? Easily a $50 art book, it was being sold for an unusually affordable $1.50. This was less than the price of a Big Mac. An anonymous gift had made it possible for everyone with an interest in Vermeer and in this painful situation to buy the book. Written by a respected art historian, it included an excellent color plate of every painting attributed to Vermeer. Thousands of copies changed hands across the United States on the first day, and countries around the world reported similar sales. The book was about all the positive things that had come out of this terrible crime. People were looking at and talking about paintings as they never had before. They were comparing furniture, tile work, the structure of a leaded glass window, the folds in a satin skirt. They were comparing details, like the way light struck a fingernail or a wrist bone, the look of a woven basket handle or a curl of hair. They were examining works of art with a toughness and intensity usually seen only in the buyers of new cars or electronics. Groups of people pointing and arguing energetically in front of a Vermeer had become a common sight. Museums were busier and livelier places. It was the first time that many untrained people had felt that they could say something of value about a work of art, something that might make a difference. It was the first time that many people had realized how murky and changeable the waters of history can be. When an artist leaves behind no personal papers, when hundreds of years go by, who is to say that followers or forgers didn't use his or her name to make some money? And of course, the idea of correcting a centuries-old mistake, of pointing out what the experts in museums and universities weren't really as expert as they thought they were, was irresistible. Children were thinking about Vermeer too. They were comparing, writing, and visiting museums with friends. Many said that they hadn't realized how cool old pictures could be. They also hadn't realized that the art in museums can be mysterious, that grown-ups don't always know what it means or where it came from. The author talked about how this uproar was probably also good for art historians and museum curators. It was forcing them to question views that had been accepted for decades, to look carefully at what they had been taught. Was the thief right? Was the public right? Why didn't the so-called early and late Vermeers have that luminous, haunting touch? The book ended by stating firmly that while what the thief had done to get the attention of the art world was wrong, the public's relationship to Vermeer and to other great masters had, as a result, changed drastically. People around the world had developed a comfort with great art they had never had before. That the theft was a gift. The last page carried a message to the thief. Whether or not museums chose to change the wall labels next to some of Vermeer's paintings, the public had done an amazing job of spotlighting any possible fraud. Everyone was now looking. It was only a matter of time, the author suggested, before museums would respond to the public's thinking. In the meantime, a lady waiting should be returned. The thief could consider his mission to have been successful. What do you think about that? Do you think that the thief did the right thing to bring so many people back into the art world, to make so many people think and talk about the art? Is that a gift? And is it worth stealing something that's so important and so valuable? Think about that.